monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
Als Geschenk bekommen. Ich hab's gefeiert. Ja, das ist mega gut. So kreativ einfach. Voller Liebe einfach drin. Richtig geiles Spiel.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
Da ist die Kamera von meinem Zimmer.
What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Ist da auch mein Portal? Das ist versteckt. Verrat doch nicht
alles. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it.
Alter, ich hab so viele Ideen für diesen Eimer jetzt als Emote.
Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the...
Wir drücken jetzt einfach auf.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Das könnte doch mein Ziel sein. Krieg ich einfach hin. Aber an ein paar Bäume vorbei. But it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Nein. Oh, das ist nicht dein Ernst jetzt. Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy? Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No, no, no.
Trophy! Doors!
I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks? Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly.
Blöder
50
Penner.
clicks.
Kleiner, dreckiger Penner, du.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Okay, great. Now, go touch the bucket on door 437 a few times. Yes, now we're getting somewhere. How about door 415? Give it some bucket love.
Gib ihm einmal Liebe, was? Dann willst du mich verarschen?
Now back to door number 437.
Was zum Teufel, was ist mit dir?
You know, I think the copy machine needs some attention. Why don't you rub the bucket on it a bit?
Was?
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Alter, was?
Okay, now bring the bucket on top of employee 419's desk. Yes, this is great. Now the bucket knows exactly what it's like to be employee 419. Now, let's introduce it to door 416. We've almost got it. Now make the bucket and the copy machine touch again. Finish it off, Stanley. 5 touches of the bucket on door 430. Yes! We did it! Wow! That felt amazing. You know, not all buckets will get this kind of experience.
Ich will jetzt ein Emote haben mit einem Drucker und einem Eimer. Die sich hacken. Aneinander reiben. Hast du den einmal gerade geholfen, Sex mit Tür? Na, eigentlich eher mit dem Kopierer. Oh mein Gott, Alter, das Spiel macht mich so alle.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh, okay, jetzt können wir nur eine Sache, eigentlich 2 Sachen noch. 2 Sachen können wir noch an der linken Tür machen. Da fliegt die Tinte. Oh Gott. So, da lang. Ja, ich muss das nochmal machen. Hast du jetzt einen Sticker?
We must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Weil hier runter können wir auch noch. Aber hier will ich nach oben was machen. Und zwar auf On drücken. Und dann auf die linke Taste dann.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Ich hole mal an den Ei.
Yes,
Gib mir was ab,
this
Chloe,
is
bitte.
certainly the most logical
Bitte.
explanation.
Also mittlerweile ist das Spiel grausam. Ich find's super. Das ist halt im Grunde wirklich Teil 2 von Stanley. Das ist... Pixel im Eimer.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
Ich habe so viele
Mind
Eimer-Ideen jetzt
Control
als Emote.
Facility.
Aber ich habe keine Slots frei. Nur noch Follower-Slots, aber nicht mehr viele, nur noch 3.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
Bisschen
secret
dope,
did this
was?
place hold?
Nach dem
Stanley
Spiel,
and the
ja.
bucket both wondered to
Das sind die
themselves.
Momente, in denen man den Erzähler würgen würde. Ja, ich fühle es so sehr. Ich will ihn wirklich erwürgen.
The monitors
doll.
jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
Einmal saufen.
monitored like guinea pigs.
Ja,
The bucket
so ein Zip,
had
aber
never
mit
seen
so ein
anything like
Zip-Emote,
this,
aber mit
and it
Eimer.
very nearly burst
So ein
into
Eimer
tears
und dann mit einem
as
Strohhalm
Stanley
drin.
cradled it,
Ich habe so viele Ideen.
reassuring it that
Ja.
everything would be fine.
Geil.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to
Ja,
do
so ein
things it
Zip-Emote,
didn't
aber
wish
nur mit
to
dem
do?
Eimer.
What kinds of things does a bucket want
Eimerweise
to do or
Ideen.
not want to do in the first place?
Badumts.
These questions raised
Oh, Mann,
furiously
ey.
in Stanley's feeble mind.
Eimer saufen mit mehreren. Das wird schwierig auf ein
He
Emote.
screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone
so klein.
else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend
Ich könnte
in
den
the
Sound auch
entire
machen.
world.
Also.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Sind ja doch Discord-Emotes da. Hast ja noch ein paar Dutzend Slots frei. Ja, das stimmt.
But here was the proof. The
Ich wollte
heart
eigentlich
of the
gestern
operation.
sowieso
Controls
zeichnen,
labeled
aber es
with
war so warm, ich kam da
emotions,
nicht zu.
happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself?
Es hat den ganzen Tag geregnet, mein Zimmer hat 30 Grad.
Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons began. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to
ist einfach nur hin
disguise
und her,
its true
okay.
intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of
Es gibt
all
gar
the
kein anderes,
possible
ja.
paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Die Pinguine. Ja, Pinguine. Warte. Na gut, dann gehen wir jetzt nochmal zur linken Tür und dann die Treppe aber runter diesmal. Oder auch nicht, weil schon wieder alles hier anders ist. What the fuck?
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Das ist grausam, alles so klein und eng beieinander. Jetzt gehen wir die Treppe runter. Das Schlimme ist an dem Spiel,
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
Nein,
office.
gehen wir nicht. Oh, das ist die Szene hier. Oh
But
Gott.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be glad for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe,
Mit Eimer-chan, ich bin da mal gespannt.
maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. And that's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
Eimer-chan, wo bist
The real bucket.
Oh, guck mal, da ist sogar der Oh Gott, nein, da ist wirklich der Kopierer.
It was incredibly painful.
Ich finde ihn nicht
Stanley
mehr.
doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Alter, ist das psycho, ey.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Oh, jetzt kommt das. Wenn da der Eimer liegt, dann...
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
Hatte kein Eimer, deswegen ist er tot.
Ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to
Dankeschön für den Raid.
for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Was? Sie machte rückwärts, seit du mitten im Eimer und dann... Ah, jetzt kommt der Sound. Wow, sehr, sehr spät. Dankeschön. Was gab's denn Schönes bei euch? Ah, ich sehe es gerade. Dark Souls 3. Oh, fleißig gestorben oder gut vorangekommen? Wir spielen gerade Stanley Parable. Die Fortsetzung. Ja. Also wir haben die Deluxe Edition und es gibt neue Sachen, neuer Content, aber irgendwie ist das jetzt ein komplett neues Spiel. Und es ist sehr durch. Ich und mein Eimer-chan. Ich habe einen Eimer hier und wir sind die besten Freunde.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Ja. Gut vorangekommen, haben das Hauptspiel beendet und jetzt spielen wir das DLC. Oh, sehr geil. Sehr, sehr schön. Das freut mich.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Ja, together. Ihr Ende habt ihr schon gefunden? Also im Grunde... Ich weiß es nicht. Viele. Ja. Das ist ja die Deluxe Edition. Das ist ja neuer Content dabei. Und ich habe jetzt einfach einen fucking Eimer in der Hand. Das Sticker auf jeden Fall. Aha.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his
So, jetzt gehen wir mal durch die rechte
chest
Tür.
and
Links
entered the door.
waren wir
This
jetzt eine
was
Weile.
not the correct way to the meeting room.
Das ist mir
But
egal.
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place
Dieser
to
Eimer-chan
be.
weiß Bescheid. Eimer-chan sagt, wir sollen da lang, da gehen wir jetzt lang. Nee, das
And
hatte ich
here
noch
it
nicht.
was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
Wahrscheinlich kriege ich
Well,
das gleich, weil
never
ich gehe
mind.
jetzt genau in die
The
Richtung
bucket was
rein.
wrong. Stanley took
Ich habe
the door on
Angst.
his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go
No.
somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo
Jetzt
lift.
macht der Eimer auch noch Backseat Gaming. Das darf doch nicht wahr sein.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not
okay.
question why or how
Okay.
his bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
Wir werden
He was
verrückt.
firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Ja.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley
Den
once
dunklen
again
Raum.
obeyed blindly.
Okay. In den dunklen Raum. Okay, wir beide in einem dunklen Raum.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Okay. Alles klar.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Okay. Oh, ist schön hier. Das ist Eimer-chan. I like... Eimer-chan. Wie geht's dir? Hallo Stanley, ich bin Stan Eimer. Drücke, um mich zur Arbeit mitzunehmen.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Das ist gar nicht wahr. Drücke, um mich zurück nach Hause mitzunehmen.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this,
man ein anderes
obsessing
Spiel,
over
ja.
an inanimate metal object?
Ich habe von
I
Tränen
want to say
gelacht.
something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I
Mit diesem-
don't know
mit dem
if
Loch
he'll
da.
listen to me.
Oh Gott. Kann hier irgendwo noch rein?
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you
Und
is
das Loch bin
effectively
nicht so wach geworden, das
transfer
war
a
gut.
liquid
Ich bin
from
nicht mehr aus
one
dem Loch
location to a
rausgekommen.
different location. That's it. It doesn't do
Warst du
anything else.
fasziniert? Und anscheinend sind wir festgesteckt oder so.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Was, beleidigst du gerade Eimer-chan? Liebe meines Lebens.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's
Die
just
Eifersucht,
okay
ja.
to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to
Ja.
it.
Diese Kurven,
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more,
Alter, wer macht denn sowas? Shiny.
More capable of transporting
Flüssigkeit zu transportieren.
like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's
sehr fest.
so much
Steht
more
gerade
than just a regular bucket? Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No,
God.
What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks.
Nein.
What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Alles kann Flüssigkeiten auf... Oh Gott, nein. Du und ich.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Hier noch die Blütenblätter. War sehr romantisch. Chan, wo bist du?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine.
Hauptsache, sie gehen zusammen. Oh.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Das ist halt die Frage, kommt da noch was? Wenn ich jetzt gerade ausgehe?
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door
Hier muss ich auch noch durch?
to go back to the meeting room.
Halt die Frage, wenn ich jetzt da nochmal hingehe? Egal, ich probier's nochmal. Ich fand das sehr lustig.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
Gute Frage.
The cargo lift, yes. Good,
said the
Ich hab
bucket.
schon ernst
Now
gemeint,
ride
was
the
gefragt.
lift all the way to
Weil
the
ich nicht
top.
weiß, wie ich alle...
There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question
da kann ich
why
mal
or how
sammeln.
this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk.
Kann ich
But
runterfallen?
Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was
komm ich da
firmly
hin?
convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Ich hab keine Karte. Stimmt, den Weg habe ich ja voll vergessen. Gibt's denn hier so Schönes? Ich weiß nicht, ob da noch was kommt bei den speziellen Enden. Ja, bei den Entwicklern weiß man wirklich nicht.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Aber... Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right?
This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6.
Na
Is
klar.
this a bucket?
Alter.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Was? So gut.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere.
Oh, weiß nicht, was er erzählt hat. Ja, ich auch nicht. Ja.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't
Doch,
anything
da
here.
links ist
And
ein
I don't
Bucket.
appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Vielleicht bin ich ein Eimer.
Stanley,
Vielleicht seid
I
ihr ein
can't keep
Eimer.
doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the
Was?
game entirely.
Nein!
Okay, here we go.
Nein! Der hat die Eimer gelöscht. Nein!
What happened? Is everything gone?
Ja, weil du die Eimer gelöscht hast.
Disappear.
Die Eimer sind
Was
alles.
everything a bucket? Every single thing in the
Alles war
game
ein
is a
Eimer,
bucket?
ja.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Ja, du bist
How
doof.
could- Except me.
Du hast unsere
I'm
Existenz
not a
ausgelöscht.
bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
Aber ohne
Oh,
Eimer
this
bin
is
ich nicht.
wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
Ja.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows
okay,
what that
erzähl's
information
nicht
might
weiter,
do to a
Chat.
person. All right, here we go.